Listen, I did not like probably 98 to 99% of the things that President Obama did, but I would never call him Obama, and I would never call him a moral midget or a needy little baby, even if I thought the two things were true about him. So as you sit here with your platform and attack the president with these horrible sayings about him personally.
The onus is on us to do these things from a community standpoint to make sure that we're looking out for each other, but giving them the information the best way they can get it, however we can get it, to get it to those who don't have it, and keep the country and keep our family and our friends safe as we can during this pandemic, which I know that we'll get through.
If you have a good idea to improve the lives of anyone, to make America great again, for Black America, white America, Hispanic America, to make this country great, we'll listen to you. We are engaging every single day with the Black community, getting the word to them in different ways so that they understand the difference between what Joe Biden failed to do for 44 years in his public life and what President Trump has done in just 3.5 years. Platinum Plan, which is a holistic plan specifically targeting the Black agenda, the Black community for the next 4 years. It talks about access to capital to the tune of $500 billion, 3 million new jobs, 500,000 new Black-owned businesses, making Juneteenth a federal holiday, KKK and Antifa listed as a terrorist organization. It's a holistic plan looking at health, looking at the economy, looking at jobs, looking at safety and security. It's a positive thing that President Trump has done, and I'm proud about it.
The American people are not stupid. The American people are not dumb, but Joe Biden and the Democrats seem to think that we are.
We have a president who's been a champion for the Black community, champion for HBCU, school choice, a champion for opportunity zones, a champion for doing things like criminal justice reform through the First Step Act, a champion for empowering the Black community through his Platinum Plan that he just rolled out, which is a holistic plan that actually sought the advice from a whole host of people on the ground for over a year in the community on the ground. Yeah. President Trump is a man of action. Joe Biden is a man of inaction, and the Black community can know in that moment, why isn't Chris Wallace asking the president about his Platinum Plan, which calls for Antifa and the KKK to be labeled terrorist organizations? You know what? I just thought it was a complete distraction from the fact that this president is leading when it comes to the Black community. His Platinum Plan is effective, and he has a track record of empowering the Black community, which is more than we can say that Joe Biden's 47-year history of damaging the Black community, damaging Black families, and damaging Black generational wealth. If you are a Black American trying to figure out if you are voting for Biden or President Trump, yes, you are still Black if you vote Trump. President Trump is the only person who's acted after the death of George Floyd with his executive order on safe police and safe communities. The Republicans, through the Justice Act that Senator Tim Scott tried to make action happen, and you know what Dick Durbin called it? A token process. So this is all lip service from the Democrats, lip service from Joe Biden, and lip service from the NBA. If they want to have change, call on these Democrat leaders to stop the violence, stop the rioting, stop the looting. That's how you make change. Newsom is a step behind because he knows reparations is the cool thing to do because they're trying to be woke. Stop trying to be woke and be relevant and do things for people who are actually suffering. Have the moral courage to do what my grandfather said, my papa, Deacon Walter J.R. Dennard, who was my hero. He said, it's easy to stand up for right, but difficult to stand up against the wrong. Democrats should be standing up against the wrong. NBA players should be standing up against the wrong. The lawlessness, the rioting, the violence, the looting is wrong. That's how they can use their voice and their platform.
Because I remember something that my granny and my papa taught me years ago. They said, know who you are and whose you are. And if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so for me, I proudly walk around with my MAGA hat. I proudly tell people that I'm a Trump supporter. I proudly go on shows like this to show people that it's okay. So when he talks about law and order, he's talking about law and order to protect Black businesses, to help them be able to bounce back, because he knows that the economy is going to bounce back. He says stronger than ever, and I believe it. And the results today show that we're on that trend. I think what you're doing is media malpractice, because if you listen to the audio, if you watch the clip, if you read the record, the transcript, he's asked if he was talking about the supremacists and those, and he said no, he was talking about the residents of Charlottesville, the good people who were there to protest on one side saying they wanted to keep the statue and the other side saying they wanted to tear it down. The residents of Charlottesville, not the white supremacists, and he was asked specifically that, and he said, we need to call it out and hold him accountable for it. It's offensive to Black Republicans and conservatives like myself, but it's also offensive to those Black Americans who are not voting for Joe Biden, didn't support Joe Biden, that might have been voting for Bernie Sanders. This is something that the president, through the Secretary of Education's office, has been a true champion on, and trying to find more ways and more investment to really
give parents the opportunity to choose where their child goes to school.
When you look at the alternative, when you look at Joe Biden, his Green New Deal, and the socialist policies that they're trying to put in place, and the draconian measures that a lot of these Democrats are proposing right now, even under COVID-19, and the fact that the president is working very well with Democrat governors, that is showing bipartisanship, that's showing leadership in crisis, and that is a wonderful recipe for success for this administration and for this president and for the Republican Party.
And I am excited to be here with Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, who is the most successful chair in RNC history. President Trump has presided over one of the most inclusive economies in history, and it is my pleasure to talk to our chairwoman today.
Thank you, Paris. I paid you to say that.
Yeah, did I do okay?
Yeah, you did great.
Okay, perfect.
Great delivery.
I'm so grateful to our fantastic guests, Angela Stanton-King, Mark Little, and Leo Terrell.
Absolutely. I think Virginia's on the right track, because to keep the economy on lockdown mode is unsustainable. Over 26 million people on unemployment is something that we cannot sustain, and we have got to get people back to work and get the economy going in a safe and effective manner.
President Trump has presided over one of the most inclusive economies. His leadership has really strengthened our country for all Americans. What are your thoughts on just the president's leadership on the economy?
Look, he's going to Honeywell right now, as your cameras were showing, my hometown, Phoenix, Arizona. Honeywell developing the N95 mask. Now, we cannot have China manufacturing all of the masks.
Americans are different. We want our liberty and our freedom, and it's going to be tough to keep us contained. That's why it's so important that the Democrats in Congress put partisanship aside and actually think about the American people, think about the world, and stop trying to make this into some race argument. I'm so sick and tired of people making everything about race. And that's what we need to focus on. Democrats need to stop politicizing this and get on board and be united and stop trying to put fear in the hearts and the minds of the American people. They won't do that. So they're going to say it's inadequate, it's not enough, and it's racist, because it's all about politics. Well, this is just another example of Mike Bloomberg's past comments, not as a private citizen, but as the sitting mayor of New York City, that are just troubling to many Americans across the board, especially Black Americans. When you look at what then Governor Haley did in the state of South Carolina, calling for the flag to come down and presiding over that, she was a strong leader, a strong Republican woman leader of color who was bold and resolute in her denunciation of racism and calling for the flag to come down. So I think her track record as governor speaks loudly. And I'm just one of many people who are here in Atlanta, Georgia today, supporting President Trump and the Trump campaign as they launch this new Black Voices indictment on the current Democrat field. If the person who's lost twice is coming back saying, I may have to come out here and lose again because the field is so terrible, that's an indictment on the Democrat Party and their candidates. But if you have the courage, and you have the faith, and you have the optimism to say, I'm going to stand up for what I know to be true because I'm personally being positively impacted in my community and with my family, I'm not only going to support this president publicly, but I'm going to do so at the ballot box. But you know what? I don't care if they don't support the president publicly. As long as they go into that voting booth and vote for the president, it's good for me. To all of you for tuning in. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in the fight for 4 more years of promises made, promises kept, because we all know the great American comeback is on the horizon. With President Trump, the best is yet to come. Good night, everyone. This is what we are, I think, experiencing now more than ever before in history. We are seeing free-thinking African Americans, especially millennials, stopping and saying, you know what, I may not be Republican, that's fine. I may not be Democrat, but I'm going to stop and think about the things that I hear President Trump say, the things that I hear Candace Owens say, the things that I might see Paris Dennard say, because if I'm able to use my own mind and make up my own decisions, then I believe they're going to trend towards the right. That is cancellation, and it extends far beyond criticism. Cancellation involves social media mobs engaged in public shaming and the creation of blacklists. It seeks the destruction of the career and reputation of anyone who differs with a leftist position.
I tell you, this is a movement. They doubted that this could happen, but turn to the media and tell them we are here and we're not going anywhere.